welcome to the Chelsea Skidmore Show. I'm here today with my guest, writer Jim Hecht. Hi, Jim.
Hi, Chelsea. How are you?
I'm great.
I feel like
How
you were
are
talking
you?
about somebody else just now.
Well, you were looking at were you looking over to the pumpkin?
No, it's just weird. Like, I think I've been a writer I even just feel strange saying, like, I've written professionally for 20 years, and I still, like, feel sort of uncomfortable with the phrase, or, like...
Really? What do you prefer to be? I
don't know.
I hate defining oneself is like such a shitty thing.
I was reading something about a coach, like this guy, Pat Riley, who was a big Lakers coach in the 80s and coached the Knicks and Heat after that. And he was talking about how long he felt uncomfortable with the phrase coach for, because he had worked with real coaches, like these legendary coaches before him. And so when people called him coach, it was still like, that's not me. And I get that, because not that I've ever been at the level of Pat Riley professionally, but like I still feel like, I don't know, like it's presumptuous or uncomfortable or pretending or
I would have never expected that coming from you.
Oh, sure. I'm riddled with insecurities. Like,
everyone is.
Yeah.
But I feel like when I think of you, I think of, oh, he's a writer. Do you know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah. And I think, yeah, that makes sense. I just...
I went with you to a Lakers game when I first moved here.
Did we win?
I can't remember.
Did Kobe play?
I don't remember. It was 5 years ago. Okay. In 2013.
Is it really that long that you've been
here? It's when I was living at Zita's house.
My first memory of you is jumping on my windshield and taking...
What?
We were leaving a restaurant. It was after something, and we'd all gone out to dinner. Lily was there, and you repeatedly threw yourself on the windshield and took videos. They were good.
Oh, you mean I jumped across the hood of a car?
Across the hood into the windshield. Yeah.
Oh, of your car?
Of my car, yeah.
I don't remember that. Well, that was like I had made this like really fun video of me jumping over the hood of a Challenger or Charger or something. Me. So I think it was probably around that time I was trying to repeat it.
It was like a serial of Chelsea jumps on moving shit.
Yeah.
It was like it predated the Drake video, even though the cars... Do you remember, like, now everybody's doing that video where the cars...
I've never actually seen... It's so funny. I'm not up to date with all of these things. I don't even... You know that whole flossing movement thing?
Yeah, I can't do it.
I can't do it either, and I didn't even know it was called flossing until someone's mother told me it was.
Who has I think it's big with the kids, like little kids. Like, I don't think...
But I feel like I don't know, I just feel like old.
I don't think adults can make that hip movement.
I see people do it all the time.
Old people, like grown-ups?
I'm not like taking the time to learn that shit.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I'm just over it.
That's how I feel about video games.
Really?
Or poker. Mm-hmm. Or anything that I would have to donate my entire life to be decent at. Poker
is like a big social adult male thing, I feel like.
Really? I just feel like to be any decent at it, I feel like to be decent at it, you'd have to play constantly. And I just missed it. Yeah, you either have it or you don't, I guess. Right. Have you been to any of those games? Those like big poker
Underground
games?
secret things? I haven't, no. I learned to play when I was younger. My grandma taught me. Jewish grandmother in Orlando.
You're Jewish?
I'm a 46%.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And
we have a minority minority stake in Chelsea. I'm very proud of us.
Yeah.
In Orlando too? I lived there as well.
From Brooklyn or Long Island, but she was living in Orlando, and she had like... She was just like super, like, you know that, like, and I'm probably not allowed to say that. I hate that there's this whole thing where I have to be worried about now what I say. Sure. But she had Oriental decor. Can I say that? I think if you're describing decor, can you say Oriental? I think
you're supposed to say Asian, but like, I think it's different if it's a person.
Well, at the time...
I don't know. I'm making this shit up. Like,
but, she has... Do you know what I'm talking about? With, like, Jewish women with that kind of, like, like, swans and, like, a dressing room doors.
Yeah, my grandma had pandas.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh, no, owls. She had owls. I still have one. It was a glass.
That's so funny. Yeah. But anyway, she taught me how to play poker, and she sat down to teach me how to play, and then all of a sudden she pulled out a green plastic visor, and she became this other person.
I really thought you were going to say vibrator.
Did you really?
Yeah, the word started coming out. I was like, oh my God. Like, she's really...
No, a visor. Like, she was suddenly this, like, professional poker player. And then I used to play in middle school, and I would beat everyone and win money, all the guys. That's my poker experience.
My grandmother taught me blackjack that way. We would play with pennies.
Yeah, with pennies. We did that. Was she in Orlando?
She was in Fort Lauderdale.
Oh, okay.
But I had to work in Orlando for 2 years. I went back and forth between Orlando and New York. When I first started, I was working Nickelodeon. And they shot everything at Universal Studios Florida in Orlando.
Oh, my God.
It's all man-made, the whole city.
That's so funny. Well, I looked at your IMDb last night, and I saw those early children's.
I don't even know what's on there.
It was like some early children's Nickelodeon shows. And I just thought that's like what you started doing.
Yeah, like I was going to go to law school.
Okay.
My whole life. Like,
Born in New York, but we moved when I was 2. Where'd you grow up?
That's a whole other, like, we could do the whole hour on that. But, like, my parents were 19 and 20. And they were in college, and they both went on to become professors. So every time they either got a degree or got fired from a university, we moved. So, like, by the time I was 5, it was like Illinois, Montana.
That's fine. Were they getting fired a lot?
No, like, no, they should have. But no, it was like we did get fired once from the University of Montana when they like fired all new staff. But he got his master's in one place, his PhD in another, his first professor job somewhere else. Then he taught for 2 years at CSUN and then got a job at USC. So by the time I was 8, we'd moved all those times.
Wow.
Or 7 or something.
And that fucks you up.
Well, yeah, clearly.
Well,
working backwards. That's how you get here.
Well, because I had a good friend who moved around a lot, and I think it's like hard and sorry if I'm projecting, but I think it could be hard for people at a young age because it's like they don't know their identity. Did you experience that sort of?
Yes and no. I mean, I think the bigger thing was like just as soon as you get comfortable and you have like a life and a circle of when you're a kid, your friends are everything, and then all of a sudden the rug gets yanked and you go back to like you don't know anybody and
has that affected you in your adult life, like in a weird traumatic childhood way?
I don't know how weird, but I do think it's like I have this, and also I don't know if it's like if it's cultural, if it's Jewish or also my parents split up when I was 11 or whatever, and my grandparents died. So like, look, I'm a pretty happy person. And I'm not trying to complain, but like I do think there's this general sense of like it can all blow up. In an instant. Like if it's generational, I think it was my grandparents really had this feeling that like the Nazis could show up at any second.
Really? Wow.
Living through the Depression, that it could all, everything could blow up in an instant. And for me, it's like I just know that everything could be super temporary. Like everything in an instant, everything, the rug can get pulled out from under you, and the things that you consider safe are gone.
Has that affected your romantic relationships?
Well, I'm 45 and still single. Although IMDb, I believe, says 43. So let's just go with
nice.
That. Yeah.
You're not seeing that girl, the blonde?
No.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. Did you see that just come over me? Like the heart just
No, I didn't. I just didn't know if I was getting too deep too quick. But I like to get deep as well.
No, that's good. It's off balance. I mean, no, that was a really... It ended really quickly. Like,
oh, really?
Yeah, and it had a different quality from any relationship that I'd ever been in.
In what way?
It was a real challenge for me to be comfortable or like anybody that liked me back, that was like available and appropriate. And Courtney was both of those things.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And just to back up, like I'd done. My girlfriends before her were like 23, 25, and it was like hot stove. And I've been doing that for a long time. So like drug addicts or people that are unavailable in weird ways, like they're in a relationship or they say something, cryptic, like my friend Tracy says, they say something cryptic and hard to interpret. Like,
oh my God,
I am not
so
ready for
funny.
a relationship, you know? And so I did a lot of work on gratitude and shit like that. Like I read this book by Melody Beattie, Make Miracles in 40 Days.
I recognize her name.
She wrote Codependent No More.
Yeah.
And I thought it was stupid. And I like really wasn't expecting anything.
Was that a workbook? A daily workbook?
There is some work in it. It's really short. I mean, the basic premise is to try to create gratitude around things you wouldn't ordinarily be grateful for. And so I've been dating this girl. Do you know Catherine? I think you might know her. Anyway, she... I
can't think of who it is by the first name.
But was young and it blew up instantaneously. And I was like... And I'd heard somebody talking. I was like, I cannot still be doing this at this point in my life. Like, I need to do some serious work on this. And so Melody's book was part of that. And then... Courtney and I basically became a couple on day 40, and I, in the middle of that, like sold a pitch, and it was like really weird, like all this crazy shit was happening, and then I stopped doing it, and things fell apart.
That's so funny. I don't think people realize how important gratitude is, and I only learned about it from being in 12-step programs where they teach you to do daily gratitude lists. But it's so funny when I hear it outside of 12-step programs as advice, and some people have never heard of making one of those before.
Right.
Like just the idea of a gratitude list. It seems
really like new agey and bullshitty.
Really?
And I think to other people, I do. I mean, I did it because at one point I was like super willing to do anything. And they told me to do it as an exercise where you sort of pump ideas from your heart through your third eye area with like your heartbeat. So you'd be like, I'm grateful for my dog. I'm grateful for my house. I'm grateful for, my serenity, my sobriety, whatever it is, like that you just keep doing it in sort of a rhythm with your heartbeat. And I was doing it because I was wanting to do anything and I wanted to feel better. But also then like this weird thing happened where like all of a sudden I could brainstorm and come up with like, where before if I had to write a joke for something, I had one joke, maybe two. And if it wasn't the right one, then like I really dug in and got defensive because how was I going to think of I had fear, like how was I going to think of another joke? And then all of a sudden I was able to do like, if I had to rewrite a line, I could do 25 versions and 50 versions. And like, it just came like bang, 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 and no attachment to the first one. Just like in the same rhythm that I did those gratitude lists, I was able to pump out jokes or ideas or whatever it was. And that built my career. Like, I started getting jobs because I could write, in volume, a lot of good ideas.
Wow.
And just like one joke at a time, like.
I didn't realize that. And what are some of the, so like obviously coming up with an idea is like one of the hardest things to do with writing, coming up with a good idea. Were you doing any sort of like brainstorming exercises to get there?
I think that was the big one. I'd also had so backing up, like I worked on, one of my first shows was All That, which was a sketch comedy show for kids.
Oh my God, really? Where was that filmed?
In Orlando.
Oh,
and then I moved out here, but when I was there, I worked on the first
season. Was Neil Brennan a writer on it too with you?
I wasn't a writer, I was an assistant. I was Brian, I was the assistant to the executive producers.
Who else was a writer?
Neil was like, I don't know, 17 and like head writer. No,
That's
he was
so
like
fucking weird. Was he really?
Yeah, he was young. He was like 20 or 21.
I used to love that show.
I think we were the same age. And so it's funny, at that time on the same staff, I forget who else was there, but it was like Steve Holland, not Savage Steve Holland, but Steve Holland, who's the showrunner on Big Bang Theory and Young Sheldon now, like Neil Brennan.
Yeah.
And these other people that like have gone on to have pretty decent careers.
Yeah.
Like, that were all babies at the time that were really disrespected and beaten on.
Wow.
How
old were all those kids?
We were like 20, 21. Oh, the kids?
Yeah, like, all that kids.
I think Keenan was learning how to drive the first year. So
that's
like,
insane.
I gave him driving lessons at one point.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I mean, those kids were super talented.
How did you end up getting that job?
I have an uncle in the business, and
nepotism.
Yeah, nepotism for sure. And it was a blessing and a curse because, like I said, I was planning to go to law school, so I was sort of dabbling in like working on a television show. And
what made you want to? Okay, so you had the uncle. What does he do?
He was essentially running production at Nickelodeon at that time.
Okay, great. And don't be embarrassed. I see the look on your face.
Yeah, I just don't want people to think that my whole career is based on nepotism. But
it's not because you do the work. I mean, if you're a is it? Oh, I'm so jealous.
No, it's not.
It's like
it is and it isn't. I mean, we can get into that in a second, like the genesis of the way I actually started to get jobs. But,
I'm so curious.
But I worked on that show and realized I didn't know anything, and then did a couple of other things, and started to get sort of like I wrote for MTV News for a little while. I wrote for like a lot of clip shows and stuff like that. But like I was just like, I don't know anything. Like I'm fraudulent, and so I came back here to go to film school.
Where'd you go?
I went to USC,
which
I had to. My stepdad taught there too.
Ooh, so does he still teach her?
He retired, but he taught marine biology at USC.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
And so it was free. So
my God, you're so lucky you don't have student loans.
UCLA would have been no, I do because I was an addict at the time, so I was like taking out. So I have free tuition, right? And I'm still taking out like as much loans as many loans as I can. Possibly like.
Well, why did you need loans if you had free tuition?
Well, I wanted to live lifestyle.
Okay.
Like I wanted to live as though I'd done something, even though I hadn't. So it was all about like going out.
Did you have like a nice car then?
No, I had a piece of shit car, but like, and I think my dad was paying for it.
Yeah.
No, I just wanted to go to the whiskey bar every night, and I wanted to buy 8 balls. And I wanted to buy 8 balls and go to the whiskey bar every night. And
So you did all that and came back, and then we're going to USC. So you must have been in your mid-20s?
Yeah, I went back at 25 and finished at, I think, 27, around there.
It makes me feel good to hear you say that, because it took me 6 years to finish a 4-year school.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's because I, too, was partying, and I wasn't taking as many credits, and I transferred and lost the credits and all of that. Yeah,
I think there's something to be said for starting stuff later in life. I don't know why. I mean, if you're like Neil and at 20 or whatever that you're, this is the thing for you, then great. And he's super, super talented. So
I know. Well, just before you got here, me and Mike were talking about how I wish I had started stand-up when I was 18. Yeah. I wish I'd started, writing when I was younger. But, I lived in so much fear, and I wasn't ready until I was ready. But now I have all these awesome life experiences to draw off of, and I try to just, stick to that kind of idea. And I do have stuff to say that other people don't have to say, so whatever.
Yeah, same. Like, I mean, sometimes I get caught up in, like, I wish I hadn't, studied political science in college or whatever. Like,
I wish I went to film school, because I really want to direct, and I know nothing about lighting.
Right. I think you could get a book or something, probably.
Okay, really? Okay, thank God.
Plus, a lot of the physical film stuff that we learned in film school is, like, it's so not...
It's whatever.
...relevant anymore.
Thank God. Oh, my God.
Yeah, I had to, like, cut... film. Like sit there and cut and splice film all night.
My favorite classes were like film like studies classes where you would watch movies and write papers about them. I was really good at that in school, but I didn't get any of the extra,
Yeah, it depends on how you learn. Like again, if you go back to someone like Nick Cannon, for example, was I think he was doing stand-up like 17.
Little asshole.
I think here.
Really?
Or at Laugh Factory or somewhere like that. And then he
probably
became
Laugh Factory.
Probably. And then he became like the audience warm-up guy on all that.
Oh,
and then,
interesting.
I don't know. When there was an opening, he was a genius, so they put him right on. And yeah, God bless those people. They're like, they know what they want at a super early age. They do one thing. And
it's such a trip to me. It's like you didn't live a life of fear and negative voices. Holding you back? No.
They didn't. Yeah, no, they're just like self-actualized people or whatever. Yeah. I don't know. And then,
but even you starting at 17, like, and you said that you were partying a lot too, but you were able still to show up for.
No.
That's
what I wasn't able to do.
Okay, thank God.
So I had this so the thing about the uncle was he hooked me up with Brian, who was the executive producer on all that, and has since gone on to have a huge career. He started Awesomeness and directed a lot of movies like Varsity Blues and he's just, again, he was an actor too. He'd been on Head of the Class. He was one of the stars of an ABC show called Head of the Class before he decided he wanted to do production. And he told Brian, he said, break him. And Brian did break me. He was
in what way?
Just brutal. Like he was just like hazed me for a year.
Like
straight.
What? Get the coffee. I don't want it. What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
and you stuck it out.
But I was a shit. Like I didn't know. Like I was still in college mode and like and when you talk about the partying thing, like I really wanted to be good at that job, but we would all go out after work or whatever and like I would be super drunk and then miss like waking up to take him to the airport.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So like I was the world's worst assistant. And I didn't understand, like, why can't I do these things that I really want to show up and do?
Yeah.
Why then do I get so fucked up at night that I can't do it? Or like I show up at work the next day, like.
How did that change?
Just so much of it. Like it's so hard to comprehend what's happening with you when you're going through that. Like the idea of alcoholism just was not in my head at that point.
I didn't even know that I was an alcoholic. I always just said I had a partying problem because everyone I was partying with was partying as hard as I was. But like I for sure was always the one who was up the latest and I couldn't wake up the next day to go to class. And like I was always a little bit worse, but like we were all doing coke together for like 12 hours. I just happened to be up for 16.
But somebody was still up, right? I mean,
and it was me.
Just you by yourself?
It's so funny. I used to, go out and do coke with guys, and they thought that we were going to end up fucking.
For sure, yeah.
And I would just
I've never been on the other end of that.
And I was talking to them about like aliens and like weird shit, and then they would just like every time, like I just went.
Did they give up?
Oh yeah, they were like, "I'm going to sleep," and I was like, "Wait, don't you want to hear about my childhood?" And they're like, "This bitch sucks." It's so funny.
Oh my God, yeah, I've been on the end of those a few times.
Yeah.
Which brings you back to Courtney. So it just it fizzled really fast. It's sad. I'm still sort of trying to figure that one out because I don't really even understand what happened. Like, she has a couple of kids, and we started to bring them in around 6 months of the relationship, and then it just became like super logistical and platonic and domestic.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, everything went out of it. And I think the weird part of it was like, we're both trying so hard to be like perfect and like not sweat the small stuff.
Yeah.
That we never talked about anything.
Oh, so you're walking around things because you didn't want to create any issues? So you'd like brush things under the rug?
Yeah, I don't want to be negative. You know, I don't want to be fixated on her. I want to focus on me.
Yeah.
You know, all the things that we're sort of taught to be healthy.
Yeah.
And I think they're healthy, but like at the same time, we never had an argument. Neither of us talked about what was going on with each other.
How long was it?
Like almost 8 months. And then I think each of those things was like slowly eroded the relationship to where it just became like a friendship.
But, you know, it also entirely, I'm sure, wasn't, it sounds like it was two people creating that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't blame it on any one person.
No, I think
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wouldn't take full responsibility for it because we tend to take full responsibility.
No, I give her full responsibility.
Okay, cool.
No, I'm kidding. Yeah. No, there's 50-50 in there for sure, but like I'm sort of left going like,
it's such a
how did I let that fall apart? Like I don't even understand.
Well, maybe you can reconnect. I mean, it's a
that's where I'm at now. I'm like, I've you know, like I wrote like for months I've been sort of just writing as like an exercise, and then someone who knows both of us was like, why don't you put it into a letter and like make a grand gesture and send flowers, and you know.
You want to know something I've done to guys?
Please,
and this
tell
is
me.
so fucked up, and I hope none of them ever hear it. I've done this same thing to 3 guys in a row.
You wrote the letter?
I wrote, and this might sound, I feel like this sounds crazy.
Now my heart's beating really fast.
Really?
Yeah.
I always did it in like, out of like a moment of fear and like trying to get them back on my, it was always after I did something wrong.
Oh.
I wrote a list of 100 things I love about you. And it like sounds so embarrassing to say it. I have given it to 3 guys in a row. None of them know about it. I even did one for my husband right now. He doesn't know. Sorry. I've given them these letters, but they think it's been something I've just done for them. I'm such an asshole, but it somehow. They
don't know it's because you did something.
No, I meant like we're in a bad place in our relationship. You know, it feels like things are falling apart, and then I've made this list 100 things I love about you.
That's great.
And I've sent it to them, and it has always turned things around. Maybe you should try that. But I don't know.
But you're still in the relationship when you do that.
Yeah.
Like I haven't talked to her.
Yeah. Well, one time, this is so fucked up. I sent it to one guy that I really liked while we were in our relationship. And then we broke up, and he just like never did those kind of things back. And he sent one back to me.
Right.
Like months after we had stopped talking, and it just broke my heart. You know, it was the thing I always wanted to hear. Yeah. Actually, I think 2 out of 3 of the guys have made those lists back. It's kind of weird because then somehow, not in a manipulative way, but somehow they like do it back to you in like a weird, I don't know. Do you know what I mean?
Right. So when he did it, you guys were broken up. You hadn't spoken.
Yeah.
You broke up with him, or he broke up with you?
He broke up with me. I mean, it was a horrible relationship. This is the one I'm in right now. Is the first time I've ever been in a healthy.
Well, how are you able
normal
to
relationship?
Make that?
Okay. So first of all, I've been in bad, abusive relationships based off of, you know, lying, cheating, being an ass, you know, for 10 years.
Sure.
Or 12 years. And I really had to hit like a major bottom with it.
Right. That's how I felt too.
Major bottom. Yeah. Where I like literally could not live like that anymore, sort of thing. Pretty similar to getting sober. I do feel like I lucked out ending up dating someone I had been best friends with. But the number one...
Well, how did that happen? Like one night you're just like...
Yeah. So basically I've actually, and this is what I've also noticed, I have never been friends with someone first.
Right.
Which I think is like major. Like you always hear that. You know what I mean? You should be friends with them. You know, you always want to say...
That's sort of what confuses me about the Courtney thing is like we were best friends.
Mm-hmm. Truly, before you started hooking up?
No. We went out for a little bit before. Yeah. I mean, we started hooking up at the beginning, but like, that was my best friend.
I think when people date, and this isn't entirely about what you just said, but I think when people date and they hear the whole thing, like your partner should be your best friend, you always want to be like, they are my best friend. But then it's like, I fucking hated that person. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but that's been my
experience. Okay, so he was your friend.
But he was my friend. We were very close friends. He was my best friend. And
was he always in love with you? Or?
He was.
Okay, did you know?
I kind of knew, but like...
You're like, look at me. And...
No, not like that, but because everyone said it.
Yeah.
and then, you know, me and this guy who I'd been dating broke up, and then a couple months later... It was kind of just like enough was enough. And he was like, I'm coming over and eating your pussy. And I was like, oh my God, stop. And then we ended up hooking up, and it was just like crazy. Like our first kiss, again, like so like weird to say something like this, but like it literally felt like fireworks. And I've never had one of those. It was like surreal, out of body, like literally where I was like, did you feel that? And he was like, yeah, I did. And who knows if he was, but
I'm sure he did.
It was like magical. And then it just worked out. It was so weird, but like, you know, there was a lot of problems in the beginning, but it was like communication, you know? Like with the other person was like something huge that it's the first time I've been in a relationship where I've like had real communication, being okay with being vulnerable. I was never vulnerable in any of my other relationships. I couldn't speak up for myself. I couldn't share my feelings. The other person didn't want to hear me or get me, or, you know what I mean? I think it's just years of like recovery and maturity and being in a different place in your life. And like, you know what I mean? And willing to do the work on yourself. Did you see it as from the beginning, like this is going to be a huge, like a relationship? Where you just like... I was so scared of what? Because I've never been... Well, I had just gotten super hurt.
Okay.
I was like cheated on, and I like relapsed over it, and it was a whole nightmare situation. And I was really scared, and I wasn't ready to date someone because this was like... So were you new when you started hanging out with your now husband? It was, I probably had like 4 months.
Oh, yeah.
But like I had known him for 3 years.
So it can work.
Yeah. I know that you should hook up with a new, it wasn't like planned.
No, I know.
Yeah. Well, I always say
I'm speaking in favor of you. Like
totally. I didn't think that.
I see a lot of judgment that goes on about.
Me?
No, not about you, but about people dating in
totally. And I agree too.
I've also seen a lot of couples that are married 30 years.
But I think if it was your first time getting sober, that's a different thing than someone who had been in a program for 5 years. You know.
Anyway, so did you feel like running? Did you ever run?
I did. We like broke up and didn't. It was really hard for me to commit, and then a bunch of things happened where it was kind of just like now or never. And then I was like, "Fuck it!" Like. Let's just do this sort of thing. And then he ended up moving in, and it's been great ever since. I do feel like lucky, you know, in a way, because, you know, because of the way that things have worked out for this particular thing. But then it's like, and I feel like shitty sometimes saying that about myself. But then it's like, can I just have this after a whole life of having crazy experiences? You know what I mean? That's like the other thing. Most people won't
let themselves have that.
I know. Or other people will kind of like, you know, say demeaning things. And it's like, well, have you done the work?
Right.
No, you haven't. So you know what I mean? Not you.
I'm not sure I have, but I thought I did.
mean, you know, I've been to the other programs for that stuff too, and whatever. I don't know.
I think the thing that confuses me the most, and I think at this point I've become the interviewer, is
I love it.
Is because I'm curious. I want to learn about this stuff.
Yeah, I love talking about it. I have to let go of a lot of shitty behaviors I was doing too.
Right.
Like being flirty with people.
I had to do that too. I did that.
And it's like, I didn't notice how badly I was doing it.
Yeah.
You know, that I used to be a stripper, and I don't think I realized that I picked up this thing where I would touch people all the time. Like touch guys' arms, or like even like an Uber driver on the shoulder.
Right.
And guys would be like, why are you touching everyone? Like guys don't like that shit. And it's like, if I want to be taken seriously, I'm not posting slutty pictures. Right. I'm not touching guys. I'm not flirting with them. Like, I don't need attention from everyone else.
Right. I think that was hard for like, I had another relationship unravel because of it, where like, I didn't realize that once you start flirting with other people or liking other people's, you know, Instagrams or like having that casual flirty conversation on text or on DM, like it unravels the relationship.
Yeah.
Like the core, like the tightness, like it just a phrase, like a rope that starts to pull apart. Like it, and I didn't realize that when your attention starts to go elsewhere, that starts to happen. And then I have a friend who is a business associate who is a big, he preaches, but he's also a producer.
Love
this guy, Devon, he's just an amazing, enlightened person. And he's married. He's married to Megan Good, and they wrote a book about the commitment. And
she's so gorgeous.
She's gorgeous. And then, but the one thing that he said to me that was really smart, and I'm sure he wouldn't even remember saying it to me, was like, Jim, you have to constantly commit to the commitment. And I had another conversation right before this last relationship with Steve, the guy that I told you that was like, he's the Big Bang Theory showrunner now. And I'm like, Steve, you've been married to Hannah since you were 20.
Yeah.
You're 45 now. You're making all this money. There's actresses around you all the time. Don't you ever think about, and he goes, no, and it was shaming. He goes, no, Jim, I don't think about it because she's family and you don't do that to family.
Oh my God. Isn't that a trip?
Yeah.
Well, there's some people who are like that.
Few.
I do believe my husband is that kind of guy.
I do too.
But I get worried, like, who knows, you know what happens down the line when he,
Well, that was the thing about the Courtney thing.
When he becomes more and more successful,
But so are you.
You'll
keep inspiring each other and growing together. I mean, that's my vision. Is like one person doesn't stop, then you have a shot. Like Like my aunt and uncle been married for 35 years, and it works because she and he have both kept challenging themselves to like try new things and get better and excel at stuff. And it's not competitive necessarily, but they're both just like have interests that they're driven about. But I mean, I think the thing that I wanted to bring it back to Courtney about and ask you about was like, when that sort of spark or like when you're not fucking all the time, like I was just ready to write that off. I was like, okay, it's been 6 months. We're not going to have crazy monkey sex all the time. And also sort of thought there was something wrong with me. That.
Yeah. You mean like if you're not hooking up all the time, what does it mean?
Or like, can you bring that back or like.
So totally like when we first started hooking up, like. Right. We hooked up all day long every day. And now that we're married, we literally, like, I haven't had sex with him in a week.
Right.
Not on purpose. He's going through a lot of exciting things and his head is in another place. But, we hook up like twice a week maybe. But, like, it's weird because I'm content and because I'm in a different place. I'm in a secure place.
Right.
I think it has to do with security. And because in my other relationships, I would be using sex to be manipulative, to feel a sense of security.
Plus, I don't know about you, but I would take it personally if the other person didn't want to.
Me too. Right? I would get so upset if someone didn't want to hook up with me. Right. And sometimes I think people do it as like a power thing. Like, not do it or do it. Depends what kind of person you're with. I think, like, the through line to this is, like, don't be an asshole. Because a lot of people, like, in my past relationships, I would do shit to piss off the guy I was dating.
Right.
Whether I want to admit it or not, you know what I mean? And they would do the same to me, whether it's trying to make someone jealous, drop a casual thing that's going to spark something that they're not going to like. It's like, you know what you're doing when you do it. And it's like, just be cool and don't be an asshole, feel secure. Keep yourself feeling validated so you don't need it from the other person. And then, like, the sex thing, is getting to a place where it's not about... Because that could be, like, used as an excuse to just say that things are... You know what I mean?
I wondered about that, too. Like, because I was sort of willing to be like...
Well, that's, like, letting sex define who you guys are together in a relationship.
Right. I
know that guys are different from girls, too.
But in that case, I was like... Okay, it's not, we're going through a transition. We brought the kids in. It's not the first couple of weeks anymore. Like, things have slowed. Not terribly, but in the last couple of weeks in particular.
I think we're like all comparing ourselves to like this couple that we all don't know.
Right.
Who's like fucking all the time.
Right.
It's like this ideal or idea of like what a successful couple is are people who are fucking all the time and never fight.
The week before we broke up, the weekend that we broke up was like told me about this friend of hers that lives in her apartment complex. Like, they're going away this weekend and they're going to take pills and they're going to do it. They're going to try to break their personal record of 9 times or something like that. And I was like, that is the most dysfunctional couple I've ever seen. They're like, I know them. They're drunks. They're like, that's who we want to model ourselves.
I know, right? Isn't that funny? I just only thought of this all right now. It's like we're all like modeling ourselves after something that doesn't really exist.
Yeah, but I can't make her see that.
You never know, huh?
I can't force her to see that or want it differently. And I don't know if you can rekindle the spark when it's gone. Can you?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I think after some time by yourself and doing some work, you might realize that she wasn't even right for you.
Maybe.
Or that she didn't bring some sides out of you. You know what I mean? You want to like feel good and you want to be with someone who makes you feel like good and secure. about yourself?
I felt all that, though.
Oh, okay.
It's weird.
Well, then...
That's the weird part.
Yeah, so reach out.
Yeah, it's scary, though, you know?
Yeah, well, then there it is. You're also someone who's, like, living in fear, and, like, it's part of it is you. You know what I mean? And reaching out and
I don't want to go back.
Yeah.
Like, I'm recovered from it. Like, things are great. Yeah. I don't want to throw a big monkey wrench of depression into my week at any point. Like,
yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, you might be right. Maybe I can just go to the end and go like, this is not the person, and don't send it. And then the other thing is like, even after this is so stupid, but like even after I write it, I might just be like, hey, what's up? I don't know. Like,
letters are nice. I think like girls love romantic stuff.
You do?
Yeah. People like, and it's all because of like movies. Right. Of people, it's that whole thing of like not hopeless romantic. That's the wrong thing. But it's a fairy tale.
Well, I'm doing something about fairy tales.
Oh, you are?
Interesting segue.
That's funny. But yeah, it's like, you know, the movies have taught us that we want guys standing outside in the fucking rain with a boombox professing their love to us. And dramatic love gestures makes you feel like good and worthy and wanted and...
Interesting.
Yeah.
If it's from the right person.
I think just like in general, maybe... Really? I don't know.
I'm open to it.
I don't know. Well, someone that you dated for sure, because after a girl breaks up with a guy, she's like dying to know if he's like thinking about her and wants her back and what he's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. How long has it been?
It's coming up. It'll be 4 months.
Oh, okay. Well, have you talked to her since?
Not once.
What?
Yeah.
You know what's so funny? I always tell girls, if you don't talk to a guy for 3 months, he always comes back. And hits you up. Yeah, it's like this.
So I'm following like a...
And now and you're thinking about her and want to. Because you're like, what the fuck is she doing?
Yeah, it's interesting too. Like, I had this really horrible experience where someone else I was dating is friends with her hairstylist. Uh-huh. And so when I pissed off the girl that I was dating, she went to the hairstylist and got him to like tell her everything Courtney had said about me. Huh. Like in text, and then copied and pasted the text and sent them to me. Here, I just want you to know what Courtney thinks about you.
Whoa.
Yeah. And it was hurtful stuff, and it's hurtful to get that from somebody that you're seeing.
Yeah.
But but she was like, the thing that bothered me the most was like, she said I blocked her and refused to speak to her, which wasn't true, and then that's how I started thinking about I should write this and send it. Because like, really? She thinks that I didn't want to talk to her?
Yeah.
Anyway, this is so stupid. I'm doing something about fairy tales. It's great. I'm writing it with Tracy.
What is that? With who?
Do you know Tracy McMillan? She's
Tracy McMillan.
Black, big hair.
Do I know her?
She's a television writer, but she's become like a relationship guru. You should have her.
Ooh, really?
Sure. Yeah, you should have her.
I love that.
And what happened was she wrote an article for the Huffington Post that is my favorite thing in the world. And it's the most downloaded piece in Huffington Post history. It's called Why You're Not Married.
Ooh.
It's because she's been married and divorced 3 times.
Okay.
So she's become like a jailhouse lawyer that has had so much work on her case that she can help you with yours.
Wow.
And out of that, she got on Oprah and wrote a book, and now she's shooting a show for OWN that she's the star of a relationship show. And so she's got this whole second life as like a relationship expert guru. And she's brilliant and really funny. And
now what are you guys writing?
So she had a line in that article about Why You're Not Married about it's such a prevalent myth. The things that we believe about relationships are such hugely ingrained myths that the whole Disney has built a whole kingdom on them. Huh. And so that sort of had gotten me thinking, and some other things that I'd read and seen, and I was like, yeah, those relationships in the princess movies are super fucked up. Like, there's such codependent beginnings. Like, stranger comes along and kisses you while you're in a coma, and you're 16, and you know, it's kind of Bill Cosby adjacent. Or, you know, you kiss happily ever after. Mm-hmm. Like, happily ever after your first kiss, like you get married in one day. This is all this shit that you're like, evil those relationships are fucking... Yes, all the relationships with women are like, they're evil, especially older women, evil, ugly, scary.
Yes, like, yes.
No wonder women feel so great about aging.
You have to be a housekeeper to be the most beautiful girl.
Right, you have to be a peasant and do a bunch of work and humble. Anyway, so I was like, those relationships are all fucked up. Like, what happens when they get divorced? And then I was like, oh, that's an idea. Like, Disney princess or fairy tale princess divorce where like they all get dumped at about 40 and have to go live in the real world. So that's our idea.
That's funny. Yeah. I love that. A film?
It's a film, live action, Bridesmaids, R-rated, kind of Bridesmaids meets Enchanted.
Oh, I love that.
Where they all get kicked out of Fantasyland and have to go live in the real world and and sort of like a fairy tale First Wives Club.
What are some of the highlights of why she says why you aren't married?
Well, we can look them up, but like number one is like you're a bitch, by which she just means you're angry. And she's like, people don't like angry people. Like, I
agree with that because I know some of my friends who I'm thinking about who are single are kind of bitchy to guys and like attack them.
Yeah, and you're just like,
I'm like, whoa.
Superficial. By like, she's like, if you really cared about a person, like the only thing that should really matter is character when you're choosing a lifelong mate. Because like, and this is one thing, not that everything goes back to Courtney, but pretty much everything does. There was a moment right before we broke up where I was like, oh God, we were in Palm Springs, and I looked at her and like, her kids were like, something with the lazy river, because she wanted, like the week before we broke up, she's like, let's take the kids to this hotel in Palm Springs. And her kids were jumping on the bed and landing on me with their knees over and over again, like dive bombing me and laughing. And I looked over at her and she looked the worst I've ever seen her look. Like she'd put on a bunch of weight, she was all sweaty, and I was just like, okay, this is the moment where I run, you know?
Yeah.
And then my second thought was like, well, you know, we're going to be 60 someday and I'm still going to love her, and we're going to be 80 and I'm going to love her because this is my person and this is my human, and there's like no running this time. And one of the things that Tracy talks about is like, you have to think about that person as like character is really the only thing that matters, because eventually like the looks thing fades for everybody. Not just like you're not going to look the same way, but like you stop seeing each other as like,
well, you have to like them as a person too, and be their friend. And
like the hottest people that I've dated after 3 or 4 months just become a person, right? And there's only a certain level of sexiness that you have to achieve to be in a relationship with me. And so she's like, you're not looking for a mate, you're looking for somebody who's taller, richer, more successful.
Totally. And I always like tell my friends that dating is like real estate. Like you're gonna not always find the perfect apartment. Like, you know, sometimes you're gonna find something that you like, but the closet space will be small.
Right.
You know, the light won't be perfect. So there's always gonna be something that's not perfect, and you just need to get the fuck over it and be like, it's not what you thought. Like before I lived here, I truly had this like really gross thing where I only like guys over 6 feet tall.
Yeah, that's so disgusting.
I was obsessed with it. And like,
I hate people like that.
I was always like, my favorite height is 6'2". That was my catchphrase. And then I moved to LA, and every guy I've ever dated out here has been under 5'8". And everyone out here is short, and that's fine. I got over it. I don't even give a fuck
because we're funnier.
Yeah, but it's like,
and more eager to please.
But it's also like ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. I mean, like,
it's
and that's
like
one
those
of the things
girls
with the
who
Disney.
have under 5'8" swipe left.
With the Fantasyland, like the fantasy thing, the fairy tale thing is like, for a guy, if you're not tall, a prince of a country, like, you know,
if you're not royalty,
where you're fucked. And like, by the way, if you don't get the girl, you are like some evil arch nemesis duke, like forced to live a life of evil. And like, if you don't get that one girl, you're fucked, like for life. Like, and that's the shit that we grew up with.
Yeah, I love that. Who's the guy who wrote Friday Night Lights again?
This TV show?
No,
Peter Berg?
No, the movie.
I don't know.
You know that guy who's like that eccentric writer? He wrote this article, just speaking about favorite articles. Right. He wrote this article about being a shopaholic. Do you know who I'm talking about?
No, but I am not. So
it's the most incredible article. It's like the best thing I've ever read. It's a guy who wrote Friday Night Lights.
I love Friday Night Lights.
That like weird eccentric guy.
I don't know who he is.
It's an incredible article.
I'll look it up because
it's so good.
It's my favorite show.
Really?
It's Friday. Yeah, I mean one of my favorite shows of all time. Yeah, and I think
you wrote the movie then.
It's not the
same thing.
The show is it's another level.
So how did you end up doing all this Disney animation stuff?
Yeah, that wasn't a choice. That came from the people that would hire me were like people that did. You know, I went back to sort of the Nickelodeon world after film school, and VH1, MTV, like stuff that where I could like write jokes.
Yeah.
You know, like clip shows where they needed. You know, I think one was like celebrity breakups or something like that, and so I sort of was able to hone that skill of like writing a ton of different versions for one joke,
which takes a lot of discipline to write different versions.
I guess
of things,
so. Yeah, it's just sort of
and not half-ass things.
Right, it's sort of a muscle that you develop because if I write 100 or 50, I'm going to have one that's great.
Yeah.
And they don't necessarily have to see all that work. Or they could, in which case I think that can be its own level of impressive. And And so then this is a great story, I think, for me anyway, that I always forget about not getting what I want and how that can be the best thing that possibly could happen for me.
Wow.
Because I had been promised a job. Dan Schneider, who was the executive producer of Zoe 101, but it also before that had done like The Amanda Show and all that. He was the head writer, showrunner. Had promised me a staff writing job on Zoe 101 on Nickelodeon, starring Jamie Lynn Spears, Brittany's little sister. And at the last minute, couldn't give it to me, and I was distraught. I was on the couch crying. Rent is 2 or 3 months past due. You know, I'm on unemployment.
Yeah,
I'm in my 30s. Okay. I'm like 31 or somewhere. I think I was about 31, 30 or 31. And at that age, you're like, I'm over 30 now. I'm dead. And then I had to take another job, which was writing a pilot for Spike TV, an animated pilot that paid $5,000 for a 30-minute episode, which, you know, is not a lot, but will, you know, allow me to eat for the 2 months that I have to do it. And I was just like, I'm going to fucking kill this thing. I'm going to crush it. And put all that energy into writing that. And then John Leguizamo ended up doing that pilot. Yeah. And we clicked just on the basis of having really like weird, fucked up, like senses of humor. And he got them to hire me to work on Sid's character for Ice Age.
Oh, wow.
And then I sort of just was like, I'm never leaving. You will never get rid of me. Like sort of like
him?
To Fox, to Blue Sky once I was in there. And so on Ice Age 2,
Did you say that?
No, but that was my mindset. Like, I've got a toehold in this cliff. Like, we had this character, the Scrat, and I always picture myself like Scrat, just like nails dug into a sheer cliff 1,000 miles up in the air, and I'm never fucking letting go because the nut is up there. And so I was on a 2-week job, and on Ice Age 2, that turned into a month, turned into 2 months, and then I ended up being there a year and a half. I moved to White Plains.
Did you do anything that was in White Plains?
Yeah.
You know, I grew up in Irvington.
I did not, no.
That's 10 minutes away.
Westchester.
That's so funny. Wait, why was that made in White Plains?
Chris Wedge, who started the studio that did, the guy who directed the first Ice Age. And he went to SUNY Purchase and just really loves it up there. And so we were in a really nondescript building next to the Westchester Mall.
That's so funny. I've never heard of anyone working at it there.
In White Plains or?
Yeah.
Yeah. They moved to Greenwich, but in a way it was really special because it was like the shittiest place.
How did you turn 2 weeks into a year and a half?
First of all, I moved into the Coffee Bean on like by Cedars on Robertson and Beverly.
Yeah.
And between there and my apartment, just worked around the clock for the first 2 weeks. And I think like the first couple of days, like, so I'm rewriting just lines of dialogue basically. And I think the second day I turned in like 63 pages.
Wow.
And the other thing was like when I first got the script, I was like, I can't do this. It's too good. It's already so good. Like,
wait, what did you have to do? Rewrite?
It was a rewrite.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, oh my God, this is, you know, and then
how do you make it better?
Panicked and just started picking apart like this line. I can do this line better.
Started small.
Yeah. That's the other thing that I learned from sort of doing 12-steppy stuff was like the steps kind of taught me to like break things down into component parts.
Yeah.
And do what I can do that's right in front of me.
That's a good idea.
Look at like the big picture of I have to write a movie and everybody's going to be, you know, I can write one line. I know I can do that.
I love that.
And just little by little sort of dug through it. And then the characters start to get in your head and you hear how they talk. And then like, oh, this guy could say something so much funnier. And then the actors and whatever. So I was obsessive on Ice Age 2, I was like, I didn't have any other life. I didn't date for a year. I moved to Westchester. I ballooned up to 165 pounds, grew a beard, was going to shoot myself because it was dark for 6 months. And gave my life to that opportunity, you know?
Yeah.
And then I was, it's funny because we had an arbitration at the end.
What does that mean?
It's for a number of different writers have written on a movie and they have to determine who gets credit.
Oh,
so they compile everything that everybody's written. I think on Ice Age 2 there was like 10,000 pages of material.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And I was like, I'm going to get fucked for sure.
Yeah.
That same thing, I think, going back to the kid, like the rug is going to get pulled out from underneath.
Yeah.
Me. And you have to write an arbitration thing. So that takes weeks. And then you have to wait. And I don't like waiting or being in uncertainty. I don't know about you, but it's really challenging.
I'm working on that a lot. Patience.
Yeah. Like unknown is like super difficult.
So uncomfortable.
And
but that's
so I was like waking up at 5 so I wouldn't have to get a phone call, you know. I could just like hear a voice message, you didn't get credit, like whatever it was. And when they called me and they said, you know, I pulled over, they're like, you got it. And you know, I just started crying and I went to a recovery group that evening, and they had told me the person overseeing the process is known as being very fair. So when I was convinced I was going to be fucked, that's what they told me. I still thought I was going to get fucked. And I was anonymous to that person, and they were anonymous to me as to the rest of the process as well. And at the group that we were at, this guy stood up and was celebrating a milestone, and I recognized the name, and I was like, "That's the guy."
Whoa!
And
you say anything?
Yeah, I went up to him afterwards. I was like, "I didn't have a career yesterday," and he was like, "Well, you got one now, kid."
Oh my god! Wow, what a trip!
Yeah, and it was like really one of those. Like a lot of times I'm out, like the universe is out to fuck me, or God is, whatever that is not in my, is like trying to do whatever he can to put me into pain so that maybe I can get something better later, or out to get me in some way. And I always forget those stories of like where I was always protected the whole time and never knew it. Like if I had gotten the job that I wanted on Zoe 101, I would never have gotten, I wouldn't have a film career.
It's like that whole thing that it's like when, you know, rejection is God's protection. Or when something doesn't work out, it's the answer is never no. It's just not right now, maybe, or I have something better, which I love.
But I don't feel it when I'm in it.
Well, I love everything happens for a reason. I use that one all the time, and it works for me.
But oftentimes I think the reason is God hates me, or the universe hates me, or like
God hates us all.
I'm just not supposed to get stuff.
Really?
You know, if I want something, I'm not supposed to have it. And it's not until I get like that aha moment somewhere in the future that it all makes sense. And that one.
And did that day of getting that credit change your career?
That did, yeah. For a little while, especially, it changed everything. Like it was a big jump up. And
in what ways? It gives you like a credit.
In every way, like that weekend that the movie came out, I got. So I put together a pitch to go out the weekend that the movie came out, and.
To go like hot off that?
Yeah, and so Jeffrey Katzenberg had heard that we had this pitch going on, and he was like, "Don't sell it, come meet me."
Wow.
So we went to meet Jeffrey at the W the Saturday after the Saturday that the movie opened. The movie opened on Friday, so it was a Saturday, and it was his wife's birthday, and he showed up at the W, and me and this guy Kevin Messick, who works for Will Ferrell and Adam McKay now, who I still work with a lot, pitched this idea, and Jeffrey was like, "I love it. What do you want?"
Whoa! Like, what do you want?
I turned to Kevin like, I don't even know how to answer that question.
What could we ask for?
Right.
What was that one?
That was called Punk Farm, and ended up going to turn around going to MGM. Who, like, if anybody ever thinks about taking anything to MGM, I just encourage you not to do it. It was
I don't even know that existed anymore.
Disaster. Yeah, they're mostly a financer, but you're talking about like really bad people who are really bad at their jobs.
Yeah,
and they kind of ruined it. And
isn't that such a bummer? Working so hard on something
that brought me to my knees.
Yeah.
That situation.
How do you bounce back from those? Something you put so much work into that just ends up like not seeing the light.
Well, remember we talked about anger earlier? Like I was so angry. Like I wrote, so there was the director, this guy was on it that was had directed the Simpsons movie. And I wrote him just the most shitty, scathing letter because I knew that he had like gone behind my back to get me kicked off of my own movie. And I, you know, one of those things that like you really wish was not out there. And like I was so pissed off, and I didn't realize I was angry until then. Yeah. And then I was just like consumed with it. Like I'm not, you know, like I liken it to being like our rodent ancestors trapped in a cave with saber-toothed tigers out there. Like we go into like our primitive brains when we get angry, and we're not present. And I can't do anything.
So hard to pause and like not act.
Right.
Or react.
Right. It's hard, not to do something and in this case I did do something that I wish I hadn't. And I was dating somebody who was dating somebody. So it was like coming at me from all angles. Like and then I was like, I was in a hot tub with, not a hot tub, a pool in Costa Rica with some dudes that I like, older guys that are like, this sounds really West Hollywood, but like, some guys that I really looked up to as like spiritual leaders. And I was like pouring out my heart about all these people that had wronged me, and MGM and this director and Jennifer and blah, blah, blah. And he was like, "You're an angry little fucker, aren't you?" And I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
And so then I had to go work on anger, and that took years.
Did you go to anger management?
I went to transcendental meditation.
Oh, I want to do that.
Yeah, you should.
Do you still do it?
I do. Yeah.
Every day?
Yeah, every day.
Wow. For how long?
God, we're coming up on 9 or 10 years.
Wow. Has it changed? Do you really see a difference? Does it really energize you the way that people say it does?
Energize, I don't know. The one thing, again, it was a big jump in my writing because like all of a sudden I'd be meditating. And the thing that I liked about TM versus other forms, like I'd done other forms and they sort of was like chant about this or pay attention to your breath and your breathing or something like constantly bring yourself back to the mantra. And TM is like, let your mind go where it's going to go. And if you think about the mantra, think about the mantra. And what I realized, like these other forms of meditation had sort of been stifling my creativity because the whole point is like to get into your subconscious and see what's there.
Yeah.
And like there's a lot there. Everything's there maybe.
Yeah.
And so now a lot of times, like when I meditate, I want to say a pen and a pad, but usually I use my phone and ideas just pop into your head. You know, like somebody the best shit comes to you when you're in the shower. Or in bed about to fall asleep or whatever. And
driving.
When you're not trying to look for it. And meditation is like, okay, whatever wants to talk to me, come out. And now a lot of times I'll write down 5 to 10 things in meditation and that's my whole day of writing comes out of that. And the best stuff. And so I'm sort of adjusting to working that way.
Is it harder or is it like different writing animated stuff versus normal stuff?
I mean, it's weird because I've had a lot of friends that are like, you succeeded in animation, keep doing animation.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Or
because is that a separate skill? I mean, everyone looked at what a screenplay of an animation
It's the same thing, but it's like different in that like you have to justify it being animated. Like it has to be, stuff that you wouldn't see.
What is that, a lot more action lines or something?
Yeah, or like, you got to remember people can fall off a cliff and be okay. Or like, people want to see, if it's animated, you can really do anything. Like, it's like they don't die. That's why like Roadrunner was so crazy. Or I mean, you just have to keep it. Incredibles is like such a perfect movie. The first one, I think, more than the second one, because like you just see. You have to be so much more creative, I think, in animation.
Yeah, in that's interesting. Well, it's almost like anything is possible.
Right, and that's challenging.
Yeah, but that's kind of fun for an imaginative person.
I guess so, yeah. So, but I mean, my point was, like, I didn't really want to be, like, this might be a huge mistake, but I don't want to write in one genre. Like, I don't get attracted to a genre, I get attracted to stories. So, like,
yeah,
I'm doing an R-rated, comedy with the fairy tale thing.
Yeah. Which is a nice change.
Which is nice, and then I'm doing, like, 2 hard R-drama, limited series things. And they're not funny, really. They're funny in like a Boogie Nights kind of way. And, maybe that's being like good at a lot of different things and the master of none, but like, I don't know. I'm not attracted to like, I just want to do, there's no one genre that like really, that's the only thing I want to do. I want to do stories that like excite me. And that was another big thing that came out of the anger period was like, if I do stuff that I like, and a lot of times to make ends meet, of course, you have to do that. If that I like or are good, I am miserable. It's like soul crushing. I want to cut my heart out. Like, I don't feel good. Like I feel depressed. Yeah. I can't, like, I don't feel like I can do it. And I carry that around into everything else. This like sort of dark energy comes over me. And if I'm writing something that I love, it's not work. Time flies by. It's not difficult usually. It's like play. And so in that anger period, like I realized that I had to sort of delve into finding my own stories that I loved instead of trying to write for market or get jobs or what's the biggest paycheck. Like,
so you prefer to write for yourself instead of someone else?
What movie do I want to see? Yeah. If I want to be happy as a person, I have to be working on stuff that's fun, that I love, that not just that I like, but that I love. Yeah. And I feel like you're always at a coffee shop writing. I like to write outside.
I drive by, I live off of Sunset, and the other night
I was your address or
by the Viper Room, and I was driving. I was driving past the Coffee Bean, and I saw you there the other day, a couple of days ago, late at night. Must have been 10 o'clock at night. Right. Sitting in the Coffee Bean writing.
Yeah, I'm super regimented.
I mean, I used to see you at Primo all the time writing.
They closed that
place. I feel like you're one of the most regimented people that I know, because I've seen you with my own eyes. I mean, I'm curious about what your day is like with writing. Like, do you, it looks like you really obviously treat it like a job and force yourself to sit there.
Yeah, well, I don't want to starve, so I get it done.
Well, I know that like people who are like actual writers, that's what they do, and it's like not a big deal. But like if there's any sort of, I don't know, advice or thoughts you have on that, or like motivation about just...
Is find something you love because it doesn't feel like work and you'll want to get it done more than like have to get it done. Like stuff that I'm writing right now, like, wow, yeah, I want to get it done. I want to write it. I want to do it. And so it's easier to do. And then the other thing is, come up with like, I was lucky enough to work with Will Smith for a long time. And he was like, I got to find spots to do the shit that I want to do. Like that tree over there makes me want to train. That spot over there makes me want to read. Like, so you want to create a flow environment when you work that's as fun as it can possibly be.
What do you mean?
Be. Well, like, everybody wants to think they can just go hole up like the guy in Moulin Rouge and write for 16 hours in an attic. But, like, when you actually have to do that, it's not very comfortable.
Right.
It sucks. And you get depressed and you want to fidget and all that stuff. And
well, you want to be in a nice space.
Yeah. So, make sure to be someplace. Like, I like to write outside at restaurants because I don't know
where
why.
I love?
Where?
Sunset Tower outside.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's beautiful. Can you just sit there and write?
I have before. It's so funny.
You can. Me, they're gonna be like, little guy.
Well, it's like it's funny. Like when I was friends with Steven, I was writing jokes at Sunset Tower outside. It was beautiful. I ordered tea. It was $7, but I was at a beautiful place. And I think most people don't realize they can go to a beautiful place and just get coffee,
right,
and stay there for a couple hours because they're empty during the day and, and they don't give a fuck. And Steven's like, I'm at Starbucks. And I was like, well, I'm over here paying $2 more than you. And I'm staring at a pool and like a jungle looking garden. Like it's gorgeous. The whole city and it's, I used to go to the Polo Lounge sometimes and write, but it's too fucking expensive there for a cup of tea.
I go to the BBCM now on Sunset, the butcher, the big cappuccino maker. That was from an earlier relationship. I got custody of that place. And it's a good spot. It's outside.
Yeah, it's nice. Or what's the fucking place on Melrose that starts with the V? San Vicente Melrose. It's like that little kind of like French.
Verve? Is
it? No, it's not. I thought it was called Verve. Maybe, I don't know, another cute place like that.
I think I'm OCD too because my whole life is in like in Foursquare box.
Yeah.
Like in Sunset Plaza, basically.
Yeah. And I can't believe how much you like sushi.
I got to stop. I got mercury.
What?
Yeah, I got.
What are you talking about?
I just had my blood levels done, and one of the things that came back was I had really high mercury.
Are you serious? Yeah. From eating sushi?
He was like, "How much fish do you eat?" I was like, "Well, I don't like fish. I just like sushi." And he's like, "That's fish, right?"
How did you end up testing your mercury levels?
I did a whole after the breakup.
Yeah.
I got sort of obsessed about certain issues that men start to face at like in the 40s and also paranoid about stories that I heard about a bazillion different things. So
prostate, hair loss, go on.
Yeah, everything. Like I just wanted to make sure I wasn't, your balls, everything. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't dying and that I was
as you should do a checkup.
Right. And I had not been the best at doing that through the rest of my life because I'd rather just not know.
Me too.
Right.
Same issue.
So my friend Ashley had this doctor that he said, go see this guy.
Because he had a ball problem.
I don't know why, actually.
No, he did.
He did?
Yeah. He always is like complaining about like his balls hurting. I've heard him doing that before. Yeah, it's so funny.
I mean, my mind just goes to a billion funny reasons that could be. But, and so I went to this guy and he took all my fucking levels and like found you're low at this. The funny thing was I found out I had a genetic mutation.
Really?
Yeah. And it is called, and I'm not making this up, it's called the motherfucker gene.
What?
It's like, it's not.
What science? They can come up with something else?
It's not, it's like, it sounds like the letters of the gene are like MFTR.
Yeah.
So it's like, it kind of sounds like motherfucker.
Okay, yeah.
So if you look it up on Google, you Google motherfucker gene, you'll find it. And I got 2 of them. I got them from both parents. So
what is it?
And it means basically you don't process folic acids correctly, and it's heavily correlated with depression, anxiety, addiction.
Oh my God, I know I have one of these things.
Go check it out. Yeah. And then all the vitamin stuff that was low. So everything that came back low in my test was like depression, lack of focus, anxiety. Like.
But you seem like a very focused person.
When I'm talking to you, yeah.
No, but like with writing and stuff too.
I don't feel that though.
Okay, so when how long do you go to a coffee shop for and write daily?
Different shops, but I'll do like, 2 hours in one place, 1 hour in another place.
You move around every day?
I have to keep moving.
Oh.
So I'll do like 2 hours. But can you
get to work, or are you staring sometimes at your phone? Or
sometimes
I'm
distracted. Yeah. And in the last couple months when I was like working out this, breakup stuff, it was hard to work. Yeah. So I threw myself into other stuff and meetings and business and other stuff.
So now do you not eat sushi anymore?
I haven't since I got that bag.
Fuck. I went to Wall the other night. Have you been there?
No.
It's so good.
Is it?
It's right above Barry's on La Cienega.
Barry's Boot Camp?
Yeah, on the top of there. Okay. All the best sushi places in LA are little.
Right, like that one on
Sushi
Sunset,
Park.
Right? Yeah, that's the one on
Have
Sunset.
you been there?
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Amazing, sure.
That's like an industry hotspot.
Do you think that's what it is? Is because I'm going to Sushi? I should go to like different...
Sushi sucks.
The food sucks.
The girls there are hot.
What?
Gorgeous. But the food is horrible and overpriced, but it's horrible. It's not good.
Yeah, I got really sick there one time. It's okay. Come on, it's not terrible.
I don't like it.
It's not as good as the ambiance and the people, though. That's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Last time I went there, I got sliders. They have really good sliders.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
They have good chicken. But do you think if I try sushi at other places, it'll have less mercury?
I don't know. I don't think that the quality there was very good. Huh. I could tell.
I don't even know what mercury does, but I think it also was depression and lack of focus.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Wow, it's interesting. Okay, and then I guess we'll close on like any other sort of, I don't know, writing related advice.
What are you doing?
Me?
Yeah. What's your writing?
Well, I just finished okay, so I was writing with a writing partner for the past couple of years, me and this other girl. No, we were planning something, but now we're busy on our own projects, but we have an idea we want to work on, but we haven't been able to. Because he's starting Monday, about to be pitching his show.
Oh, good.
To like a bunch of different networks. It's very exciting.
Yeah.
That's what he's been wrapped up with. And so I had been writing with this girl. We wrote 3 pilots together, and then, we kind of broke up. And I just finished my second one on my own, and I'm finally writing the thing that everyone has told me to write based off of my life.
Oh, good.
That everyone has been telling me to write this entire, and talk about like focus. So I had finished this one script that my managers weren't really feeling. And I was like angry, discouraged, and they were like, well, why don't you write the thing about your family? Like, we really want that. I was so over, like, I was so just like, I just had a lot running through me. And I was like, fuck it. Okay. And then I hung up with them. I sat down and I wrote the entire thing in one day. And it was good.
And it was a good day?
And I can't believe that. I've never written so much. I've only written, the most I've written in a day is like 10 pages.
Okay. So you get the difference between writing something you love and writing
Exactly. And it was so easy. And it's like, I've always like followed outlines before. I didn't follow an outline. I didn't do anything. I just wrote everything I knew. And obviously, after a while you have the idea of how things flow. And I'm really excited about it, and they love it. And I'm punching it up right now, and we'll see what happens, but I'm really excited about it, and I really hope it goes somewhere. And if it doesn't, like, I'll be like, fuck, now what? Because that was my story. You know what I mean? Like, what happens when your story doesn't get picked up?
Yeah, I mean, I think...
You know what I mean?
You want to write it so it's going to win Emmys and whatever. Like, that's definitely your goal. Right, but it could also get you a career.
Well, yeah,
as a writing sample, and
that's true. That's true.
Or like, I've written things that I thought were that's the thing. Like
I get excited about every single thing I write, though.
But
good. This feels different. It has like a lot of heart in it, and it's very real, and it's like literally like 80% true, and it's just different. You know what I mean?
You should make it.
I'm hoping it works out.
On some form, you should make it. If it's not going to be ABC, NBC, like...
I'm an HBO girl.
Right.
I want to be...
Netflix?
Yeah, I really like HBO.
Me too.
Or Showtime, you know what I mean? I just like that, like, fucked up, dramedy kind of...
Yeah, I'm doing something there. It's a dream. I'm like...
Really?
Yeah. I can't really talk about it yet, but
in
a couple of months it'll be... But I'm writing something with this guy that I love. So what, do you wake up and go write all day? What is your... Well, how much time do you spend writing jokes, and how much time do you spend...
Well, it's often, it's off and on. It depends. Like if I'm excited about like something I'm writing on, like a pilot, like that's what I want to spend all my time on. And I won't write jokes for like a couple of weeks. So it's just off and on. Like I finished that, and now I finished like the treatment today, and now I'm like, oh, I have to always be working on something.
Good.
I'm not always in the mood to write jokes, and I know that you should all the time, but
I don't.
It's like I'm just kind of like, I used to beat myself up over it, but now as long as I'm writing something, I'm just kind of going with what I'm the most excited about, because that's where I'm going to get the best results, instead of just forcing myself in like another direction. But like I'm also trying to also like, if I have some time and I'm just sitting around, I'm going to pick up a notebook and just start writing and see if I can get some good jokes out of it. You know what I mean?
Good.
Because you write, like 100 jokes and 2 of them are going to be good sometimes. You know what I mean?
That's my shooting percentage.
Let's make it 20.
Like, I'm happy if I get 1 or 2.
Yeah.
And I only need 1.
And you always will get one thing, so.
The weird thing, too, is, like, if I'm really struggling with the line and I write a zillion different versions of it and none of them are great, like, it's usually the wrong line.
I've never done, see, what you're talking about, writing a million different lines and stuff, I'm like, am I doing it wrong?
Well, you're doing it now, right? You're punching it up.
Yeah, but I'm more just, like, adding but I'm not writing a million versions of it.
Well, that's what I do. I, like, go, take it out. You know that
I've never done that before.
Thing where after you've had an argument with someone or, like, a conversation, you're like, I should have said this or I should have said that.
Yes.
This is your chance to do that and really get it right. Because, like, an argument in it or a conversation in a script is, like, suspended animation.
Yeah.
So, you can just sort of, like, and even if you think you have it, you could go, like, oh, what if it was like this? Oh, what if it was like that? Or what is, like...
That's a real good way to... Did someone teach you that, or did you...
I don't know. It's sort of like in that process of brainstorming a bazillion different versions of writing one line, one joke is like... It doesn't have to be a bazillion. I probably overdid it for a while, but like...
Well, I feel like... I mean... so I'll be like, oh my God, this is great. Like, I feel like I'm done. I feel like I'm good here. And then I'll want to send it off instead of spending it. You know what I mean?
This is your opportunity to like sit there and make every detail of it as funny as it can be.
Yeah. I always want, I just want things to happen.
Right.
You know what I mean? But it's not like I'm half-assing it.
I would not show things to people before they're done. Because
this girl, I sent her my script and, cause I just wanted notes. Who's a writer on a show.
Okay.
And she was like, oh my God, I love this. This is really good. I'm sending it to my agents at CAA. And I was like, well, do you think it's like in a good place yet? Because it was really like 2 drafts ago.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's much better now. There's grammatical errors on that. And then she just sent it to them. And I didn't get to, but I was like, fuck it. Okay, whatever. But like, yeah, I don't want to just send things off unless I feel good about it. But I was like, I'm just going to...
movies where you do like a scene a day.
Oh, really? And perfect that scene?
Just all day long.
Oh, that's cool.
So, you have these like couplets of lines.
Yeah.
Sid says this, Manny says that. You take those and put them on a different page.
Huh.
And come up with this. I write by hand by a lot, so then just come up with like as many different ways as that sort of information could come about, or sometimes the runs change or like and I
should do that.
If you want, you don't have to. You might have just... Some people write shit and it just comes out. Like my friend Danny Strong, he writes pages, they just come out the way they go. They go on the fucking screen. In fact, the best things I've ever written were just written like in one sitting.
Yeah.
Like, did you ever see the montage of Hecht thing with Kurt Cobain? The Kurt Cobain documentary?
No.
They had like his original lyrics like written in notebooks, like when he was getting high and fucking writing all night and whatever. And like the best songs that they had, like it seemed like he had written them word for word the way they ended up in the fucking song.
Wow. Well, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about when I say this, and it always I always feel stupid saying it, but like sometimes when I write, when I'm in that flow, when I'm in that zone, I almost have like an out of body experience.
Yes.
Where
that's what you're going for. It's like when you speak of something.
Well, it's like my brain. It's not my brain. I'm not thinking. Right. It's like flowing through me and typing, and that happens to me a lot when I write.
Good.
But it's those scenes that didn't feel as good or the ones that I want to fix. But when you feel a certain way about something, or just, I don't know. Do you know what I mean?
It should be that.
Yeah.
That's what you're going for. I think that's what I meant with the Cobain thing. Like I figured he was just like going, like he was an open vessel who was good at channeling from the universe onto a page.
Yeah, it's so weird. I started feeling that at like a really young age where it was like, it wasn't cerebral. It was like.
That's also what Will talks about with flow.
Really?
Like you're trying to create a flow state.
Yeah.
Where you're just like in the zone is what athletes talk about. Where, like time's flying by and like things are just spilling out and like.
Yeah, it was like time. Like I couldn't believe that I wrote like 30 pages in like one sitting.
Right.
But it was like I wasn't even there.
Right.
I was surprised. I was like, wait, what? Like time passed, but then it was like all this like it was definitely like. Yeah, it was new for me, but like, exciting. And
there's a book called Flow. It talks about that's like the happiest people in the world are people that can consistently put themselves in that state of flow.
Yeah. Well, it's hard you can't like get there. You have to just be there.
Yeah.
Oh my God, so lame.
Totally.
But it's like, Esther Hicks.
Yeah, sure.
How she talks about that kind of being in the flow or the vortex. Right. Like every time I want to be there, it's fucking impossible to get there. It just happens when it's like least planned. But I'm wondering if there's things to do to get there. Like
I think meditation.
Oh, really?
Because it's sort of like is practice, like getting in that state, and then just making yourself comfortable being where you want to work, having the music you want.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, working on something you love.
I like writing at home.
I'm getting better at that.
Yeah, it's so weird. It's like how different I am than a couple of years ago. I used to be so distracted. It was really hard for me to stay excited with something.
Right.
Just to like, every other thing was like an excuse until I just ran out of excuses and just really wanted to do it and really want to be there. You know what I mean? I don't know. I just feel like
there's something weird about us that like, I was talking to my neighbor about this the other day, like, you have to want it enough to go through, like, we're weird people that we want stuff like this so much. Like, most people wouldn't go through the discomfort and the rejection and the...
Yeah, I know. I heard that the other day, too. How anyone in this industry, it's like, you need to like rejection and get used to it.
Or at least want what's past it enough to go through it. Like, my sister she was an actress and she was booking, like, I don't know, 40, 50% of her roles.
Really?
When she was young.
Wow.
Yeah, she was like 20 and she went to fucking performing arts school in Orange County and she was killing it. She had like national commercials. It was like the rejection, those other 50 or 60%. It was like she could not handle it. It ate her up. It killed her. So she went back to college and now she's doing
Well, I think that's why everyone quits, because they can't handle rejection and they can't stay in it. One of my favorite quotes is Joan Rivers. She said, who made it out of your friends? And she said, everyone who didn't quit.
Right.
And I just thought that was so cool.
Yeah. I
don't have another plan.
I can't handle rejection. I think I'm really bad at it, but like I just need something else that gets me through something I can't handle, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, what a great place to end.
Isn't it?
Right?
Did we hit it?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, good.
Thank you so much for coming on. Where can people find you on social media?
I mean, I'm just Jim Hecht
Private
on
guy?
Instagram. Yeah.
Okay.
And my address is no.
Okay, cool. Thank you for coming on. And to listeners, please subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes. And also, my podcast is now on Spotify, so you can check it out there. Thanks. Bye.